took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. By some, he's been called controversial.
I'll keep my freedom, I'll keep my guns, try to keep my money and my religion too.
Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that.
I'm going to keep my big VA, keep my friends the same, keep the government out of my business, and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
We know what we need, we know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. My guest today is Paul Topete. He's the lead in Pokerface. Hello, Paul. How are you?
Good morning, Clay. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, you are going to be playing. You're one of the bands that's going to be at the Freedompalooza tomorrow in Pennsylvania. Is that correct?
Yes, we're one of 30 acts that are going to be playing through Monday night at 10, starting at noon tomorrow.
Well, tell me about that. Now, I've got a clip here, and we can play parts of it or portions of it anytime, of the last Freedompalooza. And your head speaker there, I believe, is coming back this year.
Mr. Traficant, yep.
Jim Traficant. And I get inspired just listening to the video from last year. I mean, here's a guy that's been through it all, that tried to stand up against these bankster-controlled Congress and got thrown in jail for it. So tell me a little bit about who's putting this Freedompalooza on, and how did it start, and give us some information. Now, I mean, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of listeners out there in Pennsylvania that'll be picking this up as the day goes on.
Freedompalooza is the brainchild of Pokerface. If you've listened to several of the interviews over the years, you've always heard us talk about wanting to start this kind of an event where we bring together great speakers that have the stones to speak the truth, acts that are, musical acts that are starting to use their talents to, actually wake the people up and put them together. Next year, I think we might throw a gun show / flea market along with it, so that people can come trade and barter their goods, and make it a bigger festival than we possibly could imagine.
Be nice to see those go across the country, wouldn't it?
Which is all, yeah. This is something else that we want to do, where we have like maybe 6 speakers, 6 acts that travel with us. But say we go to friendly freedom cities like Austin, we would pick up a bunch of the activists that are down there that are doing a lot of good with some musical acts as well that are in the Austin area that we're very friends with and familiar with, and we would like this to be our summer program.
That would be nice. And matter of fact, I have some new theories, Paul. I don't know if I've run by you. I think this is the 21st century, and in the 21st century, burning bushes are passé. I think God works on the internet.
Well, it's one of the many tools, I'm sure.
You've been making a good use out of it. You're waking people up, and this Freedompalooza. Now, where's this going to be held again?
It's in eastern Pennsylvania, in beautiful Bucks County, along the Delaware River, and it's in Kintonersville, PA, where Route 611 meets 32. It's if you're out of Eastern Pennsylvania, it would be 15 minutes south. If you're out of Philadelphia, if you took Broad Street, which is like where the stadiums are, if you took that north out of Philadelphia, about 45 minutes, you would hit it. Also, this is probably about 10 miles north of where Washington crossed the Delaware, where he went and routed the Hessians on Christmas Eve. So it's very like it's picturesque, it's historic, it's right in the belly of the beast, and you know, it's a good place, it's a good time. It's 3 days. We're asking Providence for beautiful weather, and the rest is people come. We provided a cool place with some great band, with some great music, and some great speakers that are going to edify you, inspire you to do the American thing. And that might be to rebel against the stupidity like they passed yesterday, especially with the so-called conservative Supreme Court Justice Roberts passing this garbage of Obamacare.
Yeah, he joined 4 Jews to enslave Americans.
I wonder what kind of like kiddie porn they had on him or something, man. You know, for them to, you know, basically get him to do what he did, because that was just a sellout right there. He should be tried and punished.
I believe so, and Kaminsky did a good piece on it. I'll have that up shortly. He'll be coming on, and I'll bring him up here this next week. But talking about the synchronicity of the internet, you know, I mean, I can think about something, and somebody will send me an email relate. And as I was putting this Freedompalooza information up, I remember something I put on the website about a month ago. I said, is it time for a new round of Chautauquas again? The Chautauqua movement became a major social, also political influence, and all through the years of World War I interrupted the circuit, though the years of World War I interrupted the circuit somewhat. In the years between 1920 and 1924, Chautauquas were at their peak of attendance. In this heyday, celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Mother Chautauqua in New York State, programs were presented around 10,000 towns to approximately 30 million people, roughly 1/3 of the nation's population at that time. After that, attendance began to decline. Radio made its appearance on the cultural scene, making available at people's homes on a permanent basis what had up to that time been a once-in-the-year occasion. Additionally, rural depression stuck at the heart of the Chautauqua's target audience, the farming masses, and the proliferation of automobiles is yet another unknown mobility also to poorer people. But I started talking about Chautauquas about 15 years ago, because that's what I felt the preparedness expos were doing. Is that the way, am I seeing the whole concept behind the Freedompalooza as a Chautauqua type of movement?
Yeah, similar, and I think just even the preparedness expos that we met you personally at, I would like that to be part of it. You know, I'm trying to call from things that I saw or was a part of in the past that worked, and I think if we bring 3 or 4 different, you know, parts of the community together, what happens is they divide us and conquer so easily, and events like this brings people together where patriots can become friends, because, you know, we like you and I, we talk on the phone or over the Skype or, you know, interviews, but it wasn't until we actually got to shake your hands like, hey, this is a brother, man, this guy really does exist, and, you know, you can hug the man, you can, you know, whatever. It's like you become something more than just a name, just a face, just a voice. You become, you know, you become invested in that person because you care about that person. And this type of event, Freedompalooza, is something that can bring people together, let them know that they're not all alone, that they're not crazy, that they are on the right path. They're the ones with the truth. Just because the Jews media lies day after day does not mean that the truth that they have is wrong. It just means that we don't. The truth takes, you know, what is it? The lies halfway around the world before the truth gets out of bed. So I mean, that's basically what we're up against.
Divide and conquer. You know, it's interesting that you bring that up. I say that's the oldest maxim in warfare, and that's exactly what they do. Oh, you're a communist? Well, I'm a fascist. You know, you're a Republican. I'm a Democrat. And oh, I'm Christian. I'm a good Christian. You know, what are you, a Muslim? Are you? Come on, this is divide and conquer, folks. You're human beings. We're Americans. I'd like for us all to be free Americans.
That's all I want to be.
And you know, but if I'll tell you right now, folks, I have spent the last 25 years studying the Psy War. It's really a Psy War. And it's been going on for thousands of years, Paul. The only thing new is the technology.
Right, the toys and tools we play with and use.
And, you know, I mean, even the religions have been subverted. I mean, they kicked Jesus upstairs to God because they didn't want you and I aspiring to be the kind of man he was. This is religion control over it. And be a good warrior. Go out there and kill, you know, kill somebody. And who profits? The people that make the weapons, the people that build the bombs, the people that supply the gasoline to crisscross the skies with poison. Come on, folks. We're really under a heavy assault here. And if you look back in history, the last time something like this happened, 60 million people ended up dead in the Soviet Union. Does that were the Russian people the bad guys here?
No, it was the Soviet government, which was Bolshevik Jews. And the problem right now is America has all the wrong Bolshevik Jews and all the right police state positions to do to us what they did to the white Christian Russians. So I'm very afraid for my country right now.
It's exactly, you've got Kaminsky again pointed out on this. It was, you know, these are Jews. These are Jewish, Zionists, whatever you want to call them, dual citizens. These are people that have, that were behind the Soviet Union, that ran the gulags. And they're here, and they got the gulags.
And their children are on the Supreme Court, like Kagan, like Kaganovich, you know.
That's right.
People, what's it going to take to wake you up, man? Stop suckling off the Talmud vision and Kabbalah movies, man. They're there to rot your brain.
Well, the problem is that, as Vladimir Lenin said, you know, the best way to, you know, control the opposition is to become the opposition. So we have the Patriot movement infiltrated. I felt a little surge of hope that people were reacting to your message, my message, in the Free American. We were reacting to it.
It's beautiful.
And then suddenly the Tea Parties. You got Sarah Palin who wants to bomb Iran.
Oh God! This should just like put the little star on the top of her forehead, man.
Yeah, it's amazing, and this is the psychology. This is the cyber warfare. This is what is how to destabilize a country in 14 months. You know, in 7 years, I think is the message by a former KGB. Now, where did the KGB go? Oh, they moved to Israel, didn't they? And the KGB and the Russian mafia in Israel. I mean, Israel is a safe country for a
psychopathic criminals, man.
That's right. Well put. We're dealing with criminals here. I mean, look, folks, I'm not the rebel here. I'm just one more serviceman that took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I studied to find out who that is. But I tell you, folks, you don't. Anybody that's urging war, anybody that that's trying to demonize another country, another people, another religion to get you to go fight them, you know, is no better than the cockfighters down there in New Mexico. They deserve to go to jail. They're pitting chickens against chickens, and that's exactly what they're doing in real life right now, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, like I said before, what scares me is that we've allowed these same Bolshevik Jews to come to America to to basically change the pop culture. I think the smartest communist was Antonio Gramsci, because he said all these frontal assaults will always keep the people, you know, riled up and ready to fight. But if you insidiously change the pop culture, then he could, you know, he saw that they could conquer us by turning us into fellow sociopaths and psychopaths, which is what the so-called faith of Judaism breeds. I mean, it is a filth faith religion. It has nothing to do with religion, really, in terms of worshiping of our Creator. It worships the foulness, the depravity of what humanity is, and celebrates it, and says that, you know, this is the norm. And our Americans used to be great, so this country... No, our Americans used to be good, so our country was great. But Americans aren't good anymore. And we're turning into the cesspool of the Third World Order out there.
Yeah, I got a Jew in my chat room right now that insists on calling me brother, and wants to know why do my people seem to be a recurring topic of your show? And that's because that's pretty easy to answer there, Rabbi Ted. Because you're a coward. You want to debate me, but you won't give me a phone number. You won't pick me up and call. You're a backstabbing son of a bitch. And your people are the enemy of all free people throughout history.
That's that ideology working there, brother. They're not the so-called refugees. What happens is they come into every country and they suck it dry like any parasite does. And then they either kill the host, or the host actually like gets up strong enough and shakes them off, and that's why they've been kicked out of, like, you know, hundreds of cities, towns, nations. And maybe they need to look at themselves, and maybe they need to look at the literature that they read from and they study from, and start to see that, hey, if you're going to become one, then you're not part of the part of humanity and can't play well in the sandbox of humanity. You know, when you think of yourself as supreme and you're a racialist, and you put yourself above everybody else, then you're really not part of the sandbox of humanity, because you think you're overlord. So, you know, maybe this person isn't per se. I don't know your history with this person, but Jews in general is like, look, either you get your out of control psychopathic rulers under control, or the rest of us are going to do it for you, and that time is coming shortly.
That's it. I agree with that. And this one guest in my room, who and by the way, they all come in as guests, which means they don't have an account, they don't have an ISP number, they can't be traced, so they can say anything they want, and there's no repercussions. So that means they're nothing more than cowards. But he said, it would seem you would know by now that my people are supreme. And that's exactly what you're pointing out. That's exactly
supreme of the devil, brother. You know, you do the devil's work, they're the devil's children.
Folks, they don't have the power they want you to believe that I have.
Yeah, they're like the little gray man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz, and your time is up, brother, because we know that that's all you are.
And Jim Traficant is the one person in Congress that recognized this Jewish threat since McCarthy. And, you know, and of course he went to prison for it. I mean, they set him up and they took him down, didn't they?
Well, because he did something for the people.
Yes.
He messed with the he messed with the tax man's money revenue source.
Now,
at least they didn't kill him like they did Lincoln and Kennedy. And same thing with Kucinich, who just is trying to pass a bill to put the printing of the money back under the Treasury, but they just retired his ass. Because you don't mess with the man's money, man. And I'm glad that people are getting the strength to do the right thing. I mean, all we got to do is follow Iceland's lead, and we can get this economy back up and running. And that's basically arresting these parasites, repudiating the debt of these parasites, and taking back the wealth that these bastards have stolen, that they have bloodstained hands and genocide hands. So I think there needs to be a worldwide movement that we arrest every single last one of them and put them on a public trial on YouTube or something. And then we found guilty, let the cards fall where they may.
That's all we really want, a fair trial for all these people. And if they're given a fair trial with the evidence that we've accumulated over the last simply a few hundred years, Now, how about you know, you're going to have somebody yell, oh, they're anti-Semitic, they're racist, they're Nazis. Let me just, I like to be fair, Paul. So let me share a quote from Rabbi Reichhorn, who was speaking at the funeral of Grand Rabbi Simeon ben Judah in 1869. I mean, we're just talking history here. The rabbi said, thanks to the terrible power of our Jewish international banks, we Jews have forced the Christians into wars without number. Wars have a special value for Jews, since Christians massacre each other and make more room for us Jews. Wars are the Jews' harvest. The Jew banks grow fat on Christian wars. Over 100 million Christians have been swept off the face of the earth by wars, and the end is not yet. And that, folks, was 1869.
You know what kills me about a lot in the so-called patriot movement? They're such pussies that if I even like read that to them, I'm the hater for bringing it to their attention. It's like, I'm not the one that had this attitude of saying this about the Christians or the goys out there, but me reiterating it makes me the hater. I mean, that's how dumbed down and stupid that they've become.
That's right. That's right. We're not the haters. The ADL, the Southern Poverty Law, they are the haters. And you've got to start looking at this, folks, how it really is. The ADL and Southern Poverty Law, and I got a film right up here on my website you can see any time of the day. They are the haters, and they are the criminals, and they are pointing the fingers at us. The bankers are the criminals. The CIA, the Mossad, the FBI work for them. This is where their money comes from. And they can have as much money as they need because they just print it up and then charge you for it.
Nice scam, isn't it?
It's a hell of a scam. People have asked me, Clay, why do you hate the Jews? I said, I don't hate the Jews. I almost admire them. You know, if they were moral, if they were legit, if they were straight, I would admire them because, I mean, you know, if us white boys had that together, we'd own the Federal Reserve, we'd own the Bank of England, we'd own the International Monetary Fund, and you know, we'd be producing as a population, as opposed to farming the plantation for the slave owners who are poisoning the very ground that we're farming.
Yeah, thanks to chemtrails and Monsanto and groups like them. Or should we say geoengineering and idiots like David Keith who proffer that they're doing it for our good. It's all because of global warming. Yeah.
And folks, this has been happening. By the way, let me share another quote just to make you understand. I put out one film. I've got one film out called No Such Thing as the New World Order. And what I told people is that, look, man, the money changers that Jesus ran out of the temple are still with us. They changed the name of the temple. They call it the Federal Reserve or the Bank of England now. And Jonathan Williams recorded in 1781 that General Cornwallis revealed to General Washington during the signing of the Articles of Capitulation signed by Cornwallis at Yorktown that a holy war will now begin on America, and when it is ended, America will be supposedly the citadel of freedom, but her millions will unknowingly be loyal subjects of the crown. Cornwallis went on to explain what would seem to be a self-contradiction. Your churches will be used to teach the Jews' religion, and in less than 200 years, the whole nation will be working for divine world government. That government they believe to be divine will be the British Empire. All religions will be permeated with Judaism without even being noticed by the masses, and they will all be under the invisible, all-seeing eye of the grand architect of masonry. And that appeared in Legions of Satan, 1781.
Yep.
This is
Most people never even heard of that.
This is history, folks. You know, and again, what we're saying is not we're not being racist, and we're not being anti-Semitic, because the elitists hide behind the Jewish people, and with their power to press, demonize anyone who tries to expose their financial and war crimes. Now, we owe a debt of gratitude to brave Jewish gentlemen like Benjamin Friedman, Aaron Russo, Dr. Henry McCow, and Gordon Duff, my editor at Veterans Today, for helping expose the Zionist criminal cartel which controls all the drug trafficking and war profiteering as they use our troops to kill manufactured energy and control the resources of the world and the creation of their plan for global government. And I told people this in my Free American magazine almost 20 years ago, Paul.
Yep, you're ahead of the game, brother.
Now, tell me, let's see, okay, we got a few minutes here, and I'm talking with Paul Topete, and this is Pokerface. We're talking, the band is Pokerface, and what we're talking about is the Freedompalooza Saturday in PA, and Traficant is, again, the headline speaker here.
He's speaking both Saturday and Sunday at 7. We give him a whole hour because he's so entertaining. He's got so much to fill in the crowd. We also have other notables such as Larry Pratt from Gun Owners of America. We have Cindy Steele, who is Edgar Steele's wife, coming to speak and letting us know the travesty that transpired there. We have Jim Condit talking about boat scam and the People's Credit, a new way to fund the government. Larry Sinclair, who did have sexual relations with Obama, and tried to let America know back in 2007 that Obama's really gay, and you know, the beard that he has is just there to you know, make it that he is a family man, but he's really a gay man. This is just like one big ne'er-do-well fest where all the people that the government hates, they're there, talking about the truth.
All of the people that you've mentioned have been on my shows. Edgar Steele was a regular on my show, and he got targeted and set up, taken down by the Southern Poverty Law, or ADL.
Yep.
And the FBI, and they're controlling the FBI now. I've got films on that too. They're trying to tell you. I mean, Homeland Security has been taken over and compromised, infiltrated, and their strings are being pulled by Southern Poverty Law. They're researchers. I mean, this is going into, and actually that's the information I put in the book when they started demonizing veterans. I've said anytime a communist regime takes over a country, they go after 3 classes of people in order. The farmers first, and the farmers in America have been under attack for 100 years.
Yes, they have. It's a civil war.
Yes, and that was really, I mean, that again, that was the divide and conquer. That was the Rothschilds doing this. You know, they were separating the United States because they were afraid of it. They were afraid of our banking system. And the second one, they go after the intellectuals. Third, they go after the veterans. The veterans go, they don't want, I said the reason they sprayed us with Agent Orange, again, Monsanto created it. They sprayed us with Agent Orange because they didn't want combat hardened troops coming back to this country, loyal to their oath to defend the Constitution.
Right, they had the second one.
Right. Do you have any, and I want to mention the other ring. I don't know if you're going to, you're going to deal with the whole hemp issue, marijuana issue. I saw a new